These Philly cheesesteak gordita crunches may sound crazy, but they were absolutely delicious. A little bacon grease on the griddle, then we're going to add 2 pounds of shaved beef on medium heat. Season with whatever you like. I use a little SPG and then a little Doe's Steakhouse seasoning. Once that beef is cooked through, we're going to add some provolone cheese to the top and let that get good and melty. Heat up some corn tortillas in your oven. On a flour tortilla, we're going to add some cheddar cheese sauce, encompass that corn tortilla, and then stuff it with the Philly cheesesteak. You could definitely add some peppers and onions to this if you desire. Super juicy and tender garlic parm chicken breast. A little work on the front side can really amp up the flavor on these. We're going to start with the brine. We got 1/3 of a cup of sea salt, 6 cups of water. We're going to let those brine for 3 hours. Tenderize those breasts, add a little bit of oil, some seasoning of your choice, some minced garlic, and black pepper. Let it sit in this marinade for another hour in the fridge. Going to throw these on the pellet grill at 375 till they hit an internal tip of 160. It was around 15-16 minutes for me. Chamois garlic butter melted from Sam's Club along with some basil and some Parmesan, and these are absolutely delicious. These are called cheese boaters. They came from a restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky called Buckhead's. We're going to start by grating 8 ounces of cheddar cheese, 8 ounces of Monterey Jack, and 8 ounces of Romano. Beat 6 eggs, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a cup of ricotta cheese, salt, pepper, garlic, some smoked paprika. Add your eggs, mix all that together, chill in the fridge for 1 hour. We're going to roll these into balls a little bit larger than a golf ball, deep fry at 350 for 3 to 4 minutes. When they're golden brown, it's time to enjoy. You have to try these easy garlic parm fried potatoes. We're going to start off by quartering up some red potatoes after we wash them. I parboil these to make my life easier. In a cast iron skillet, I got 1/2 pound of bacon. Once that's crisp, we're going to set our bacon aside and then get rid of half of the grease. Add our potatoes into that cast iron skillet. I hit them with some SPG and then some spicy Danos. We're going to let these cook on medium heat for about 10 minutes. Add back in your bacon, then we're going to top with some Parmesan cheese and cook that until it's melted, and you're going to love these. Nashville hot chicken ramen. There's nothing intricate about this recipe, but if you like Nashville hot, you are going to dig it. Going to cook up some nuggies in the air fryer at 350 for about 10 minutes. I like these Just Bare from Costco, even though they went up about $3 a bag over the past year. Using the Hexclad wok, I didn't really like the idea of my noodles floating around in a bunch of oil, so I used a couple tablespoons of butter instead. Add your chicken when it's finished in the air fryer. You can get Nashville hot seasoning at pretty much any grocery store nowadays. I'm pretty partial to this Wing Dust from Cosmos Q. Add as much as you like, and now we got some water boiling. You can toss away that packet that comes with your ramen. We don't need it. Boil that ramen for a couple of minutes, drain the water, add it to your chicken. Depending on how spicy you want it, you might want to add a little bit more seasoning. Mix all of that together into a bowl, and of course, if you're having Nashville hot chicken, you have to have the pickles that go along with it. Like I said, nothing intricate, but pretty tasty all the same. They definitely won't get the love they deserve, but these garlic parm wings were to die for. Started by drying my wings off, then hitting them with a little garlic parm seasoning. Next, I gave them a nice spray of duck fat, and then I dipped them in some pork panko. Getting the Vortex ready in the Kamado grill with some Jealous Devil charcoal. Let that get nice and hot. Once it's around 400 degrees, we're going to throw a whiskey barrel chunk in the middle. While they are cooking, we'll make our garlic parm sauce. I ran that parm through twice so it would be more fine. Minced up about 3 cloves of garlic, let it sweat down in a 1/2 stick of butter. I didn't really measure the heavy whipping cream, probably about 3/4 of a cup. Started adding some parm and stirring. This is on low-medium heat, and some more of that garlic parm sauce. Add a little bit of hot sauce and just add heavy cream till you get the consistency you want. Once these wings hit 175 internal temp, we pulled them off, poured that sauce on top, mixed them up. And let me tell you, these wings went super quick, and you should give them a shot and let me know what you think in the comments. Chili lime steak bites with caramelized onions and jalapeno rice. This meal took less than 15 minutes, and that's because this microwavable minute jalapeno rice pairs so well with so many things. You literally just peel the top off and pop it in the microwave for a minute. Add that to a bowl to cool down just a bit, and in the meantime, we're going to caramelize some onions and cook up some steak bites. Use whatever cut you prefer. I went with New York strip and whatever seasoning. I like some chili lime. Top it with some cream, and you got to have some avocado on the side. And it's crazy to me that in less than 15 minutes, you can have a meal of this caliber. The algorithm has it out for me right now, so I hope all 3 people that see these brisket trash can nachos enjoy it. Making our own tortilla chips out of corn tortillas. I got this Masterbuilt electric deep fryer at Walmart on clearance. Check Walmart this time of year for some awesome deals in that area. Cooked up this brisket the other day. I had some leftovers, so we chopped it up. Heating it up on low heat. Adding some cow cover for some flavor. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but this Mexican-style street corn from Tattooed Chef is fantastic on nachos. Got some pickled onions and jalapenos, and then we're just going to start layering some queso. Then you're going to add your pickled onions, corn, your brisket, a little barbecue sauce. Just repeat that process a couple of times. I saw Crow Food Company do this the first time, and it's the perfect way to get all your nachos covered. These air fryer buffalo chicken breast bites were super juicy and easy to make. I brined these chicken breasts for about 3 hours, and then I cut them into approximately 1-inch chunks. A little oil, some salt, pepper, garlic, and then some buffalo seasoning from Flavor God. Mix all that up, and we got our air fryer preheated to 380 degrees. After about 5 minutes, give them a good shake. They hit 165 internal around 10 minutes. You can make your own buffalo sauce, but we use this Frank's Red Hot Wing Sauce. It has 0 calories, and my son loves it. Do you need a new dinner idea? This poppy seed chicken pasta will have everybody going back for seconds. I'm cooking for 10, but I'm going to give you the recipe as if I was cooking for 4 to 5 people. Start by boiling 2 to 3 chicken breasts in some chicken broth for about 10 minutes. Shred them up, and then we're going to season that chicken with the following seasonings. I think a hand mixer is the easiest method. On low-medium heat, you need 2 cans of cream of chicken. You can substitute cream of mushroom if you prefer. 8 ounces of sour cream, and then a half a cup of your chicken stock. Now add the following seasonings and mix all of that together. You need 12 ounces of slightly al dente rigatoni. Add your chicken back in, and now we're going to add our topping. A tube of rich crackers and a tablespoon of poppy seeds, half a stick of melted butter. I stuck this under the broiler for just a minute or two to crisp it up. Add that to your chicken, and then you're ready to enjoy this delicious meal. Be sure to like and follow for more. Samoa cheesecake. If you love the Girl Scout cookies, you're going to absolutely love this cheesecake recipe. For my base, I use an entire package of these Sandy's cookies. Hit those on pulse until they're ground up. 6 tablespoons of melted butter. We're going to put that in a 9-inch springform pan and then cook that at 350 for about 7 to 8 minutes and then set it aside. I'm not going to give you the instructions for the cheesecake because I'm going to link the recipe. I use Lauren's Latest. It turns out perfect every single time. I use it as my base, then I alter it as needed. Best thing about her recipe is it does not require a water bath. Important though, tap out those bubbles before you put it in the oven. This is my result after cooling down. I made some homemade caramel sauce, drizzled that over it, some homemade chocolate ganache. If you want to see videos for those, just let me know. Toasted some coconut, and let me tell you, this is one of the most decadent cheesecakes I have ever tasted. Cilantro chili lime chicken thighs. These are absolutely fantastic. For our marinade, we're going to zest 1 lime into a bowl, and then we're going to add the juice of 2 limes. Add 1/4 cup of oil. I used avocado. And then we're going to add some fresh cilantro. 2 tablespoons of chili lime seasoning. I'm using this Cosmos Q Magic Dust. Then pour your marinade. This is about 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I let this sit in the fridge for about 6 hours. Time to fire up the grill, and it's an absolute monsoon. Cooking over some Jealous Devil charcoal as usual. I like to get a little bit of char on them. Cook them until they hit an internal temp of 165 and you're ready to eat. This is how I make bacon gravy. Let me know in the comments how you like to do it. I cut up 6 slices of thick cut bacon. We're going to cook that on low heat. Allows that fat to render down more. Once your bacon is cooked, we're going to pull it out and set it aside. Added 1/4 cup of flour. Stir and create that roux. Now I'm adding 1.5 cups of whole milk. Have this on low medium heat now. We're just going to keep stirring. Seasoning with some SPG. And then I'm also going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. How much milk you add here is just going to be dependent on how much gravy you want. I added another 1.5 cups of milk. Stir that in. Add your bacon. When it thickens up to your liking, you can turn your heat off and you're ready to eat. We serve this on some chicken fried steak, and we always love some bacon gravy. Chicken fried steak, one of my son's absolute favorite meals. Using an American Wagyu beef cube steak from Valhalla Meats here in Kentucky. Got some all-purpose flour. We're going to hit it with some everything spicy Flavor God. Mix all that together. Then we're going to dip this cube steak into the flour mixture, then into a milk and egg mixture, and then we're going to repeat that process. I want a thick crust on this. I have my cast iron heating up. Ideally, you want to cook this at around 350 degrees. Spoon some of that oil on the top so it sets your breading. And sometimes things don't completely go your way and it burnt just a little bit. I had my oil just a tad bit hot, but that is life. Made some bacon gravy to top it with and it was delicious. The easiest 4-ingredient biscuits you ever made using 7-Up. I got a cake pan with a stick of butter. We're going to stick that in the oven and preheat it to 450 degrees. In a large mixing bowl, 5 cups of Bisquick and 1.5 cups of sour cream, and I cut that in with a fork. Add 1 cup of 7-Up or whatever lemon lime soda you got. It's still going to be a pretty wet batter when you get all that mixed together. Make sure you have a lot of Bisquick down on your flat surface and begin to knead. It's kind of messy. Make sure you got some extra Bisquick just to work in as you need it. I just patted this out to around 1 inch thick. Next part is very important. With your biscuit cutter, go straight down. Do not twist. If you twist, it'll seal the edges and you will not get them to rise like you want them to. You might have to re-knead a couple of times. I got 12 biscuits total. Cooked these for around 15 minutes, and then while they were cooking, I cleaned up my mess. Brush a little butter on the top at the end. These are so much better than canned biscuits and just a lot easier than traditional biscuits. Be sure to give me a like and follow. Here is the sausage gravy recipe that I made to go along with those 7-Up biscuits that you can check out on my profile. On medium heat, we're going to brown a pound of sausage. If prices are close to the same, I usually buy the old folks. Depending on how greasy that sausage is, you're probably going to have to add a little bit of extra bacon grease. I let that cook for about 3 or 4 minutes after I added it. Now we're going to add 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour. Once your sausage is covered in that flour, we're going to add 2 cups of whole milk. And then we're going to season. Most of the time I just use SPG. Add that to your taste. Today I experimented and added a teaspoon of smoked paprika as well, and it will definitely be added from now on. So this is thickened up. Now we're going to add 2 more cups of milk, and when that starts to thicken, add another cup of milk. Just keep working that around on medium heat until you get this consistency right here. Poured it over those 7-Up biscuits, and I could have literally eaten all 12 of them. That is so freaking good. We love fancy grilled cheese in this house, and this brisket burn-in version definitely lit up the taste buds. Start by chopping up your brisket. Then we're going to butter up some sourdough bread. I cooked these on low-medium heat. Added some Gouda, then our burn-ins, and some dill pickle chips for a nice crunch. Finish with a heap of cheddar jack cheese. That shredded cheese gives you that little burnt crust, and it makes these things absolutely delicious. This is how I make bacon gravy. Let me know in the comments how you like to do it. I cut up 6 slices of thick cut bacon. We're going to cook that on low heat. Allows that fat to render down more. Once your bacon is cooked, we're going to pull it out and set it aside. Added 1/4 cup of flour. Stir and create that roux. Now I'm adding 1.5 cups of whole milk. Have this on low medium heat now. We're just going to keep stirring. Seasoning with some SPG. And then I'm also going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. How much milk you add here is just going to be dependent on how much gravy you want. I added another 1.5 cups of milk. Stir that in. Add your bacon. When it thickens up to your liking, you can turn your heat off and you're ready to eat. We serve this on some chicken fried steak, and we always love some bacon gravy. Chicken fried steak, one of my son's absolute favorite meals. Using an American Wagyu beef cube steak from Valhalla Meats here in Kentucky. Got some all-purpose flour. We're going to hit it with some everything spicy Flavor God. Mix all that together. Then we're going to dip this cube steak into the flour mixture, then into a milk and egg mixture, and then we're going to repeat that process. I want a thick crust on this. I have my cast iron heating up. Ideally, you want to cook this at around 350 degrees. Spoon some of that oil on the top so it sets your breading. And sometimes things don't completely go your way, and it burnt just a little bit. I had my oil just a tad bit hot, but that is life. Made some bacon gravy to top it with, and it was delicious. Decided to make a a casserole dish or a cake pan. My casserole dish was not big enough, so I used this 9x13 cake pan. 1.5 of grains, cut them into fours, throw them in the pan. Cooked up 1 pound of bacon. Be sure to save that bacon grease. Brown 1.5 to 2 pounds of breakfast sausage. I used 2 pounds. Add that crumbled sausage and then your bacon. Then we're going to beat 12 eggs. Pour those over the top. Lightly season that with some SPG. You can just use salt and pepper, whatever you prefer. 12 ounces of shredded cheese. I use Colby Jack. Follow the directions on some gravy mix and pour that over the top. I cooked this at 350 for an hour and 15 minutes. If it was in a casserole dish, you can probably knock about 15 minutes off the cook time. Like and follow for more. Tonight I made an extra spicy bacon cheeseburger crunch wrap. Child's play for the Spice King, but I could only eat about half. These beef patties were about 5 ounces each. I hit them with a little Nashville Hot Magic dust. Rubbed that in, and then I rolled them up into a ball so I could make some smash burgers with them. Gonna shred up some habanero cheddar cheese and set that aside. I got some ketchup, some mustard, and then I added some ghost pepper hot sauce. Just a dab was more than enough. Mix all that together. Have the Hexclad on medium-high heat. Smash that burger down. I also had some bacon cooking up in the oven. I did start with American cheese just to cut into the heat a little bit. Some of that sauce. Burger patty, habanero cheese, add your bacon, and then I repeated that process in reverse. For the crunchy portion, we are using these Doritos Flamin' Hot Cool Ranch. This was almost too big. I could barely get the edges closed. Low heat with some butter in a pan. It takes forever for all this cheese to melt. Let me know in the comments if this is too spicy or just right. Today I made some lobster ravioli with a brown butter sauce and some roasted zucchini and squash, and the best part is it took less than 30 minutes. Sliced up 2 yellow squash and 2 zucchini on my mandolin, added a little bit of olive oil, and then some SPG. We're going to mix all of that together and then put it in a preheated oven on a baking sheet at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I have 3 sticks of butter. We're going to heat that on medium to medium-high heat until it starts to brown. Then we're going to lower that heat and then add as much garlic as your heart desires. The only other thing I'm adding to the sauce is a little bit of black pepper. That butter was salted, so I didn't need to add any additional salt. I'm cooking 4 of these 13-ounce packages of this lobster ravioli according to directions. Add your squash and your lobster after you drain it. Top with some shaved mozzarella. This recipe fed about 10 people. Feel free to cut it in half and be sure to like and follow. What if I told you you could have this cheesy chicken bacon ranch meal in less than 5 minutes? These minute rice chicken and herb cups are big on flavor and short on prep time. Literally just peel off the top and stick them in the microwave for a minute. Into a bowl, and then I'm going to add 4 ounces of pre-cooked chicken breast, a couple tablespoons of bacon pieces, and then 1/3 of a cup of whatever shredded cheese you prefer. Microwave for an additional minute, top with ranch, and you are ready to enjoy. Strawberry cheesecake bites. These are ridiculously easy and you're going to struggle not to eat the entire plate. Start by removing the stem from the strawberry. We're going to core them. I use this jalapeno core. It worked fantastic. I got some of this Philadelphia cheesecake no-bake filling. Put some in a baggie and we're going to pipe it into your strawberry. Top with a little graham cracker dust, and these are absolutely delectable. Be sure to hit that like and follow. Here's my spin on Bang Bang Shrimp. First part of our dredge is going to be flour. I added some Nashville hot seasoning to that, mix all that together. Then we have a milk and egg mixture and then some pork panko. I dredged in each of these and then I set them on a cooking sheet for about 10 minutes so the batter could settle a little bit. Instead of deep frying these tonight, I'm going to cook them on the pellet grill. I got the Chimp heated up to 400 degrees. Now we're going to make our Bang Bang sauce. I hate mayo, so we used 1/2 a cup of Greek yogurt. 1/2 cup of this Bachan's hot and spicy barbecue sauce, 2 teaspoons of Nashville hot seasoning, and 2 tablespoons of sriracha. Add as much garlic as your heart desires and mix all of that together. After 7 minutes, our shrimp are good and crispy. Pour that sauce and toss them around, and it's time to enjoy. Spicy and non-traditional, but delicious all the same. These shotgun shells are all over social media, so of course I had to put my own spin on it. Started by shredding up 8 ounces of extra sharp cheddar cheese. We're going to put that in a large mixing bowl and then add 8 ounces of room softened cream cheese. Instead of breakfast sausage, I'm using leftover pulled pork that I chopped up. Add some barbecue seasoning of your choice. I'm using this garlic jalapeno. Mix all of that together well, and then I've got some manicotti here. Stuff each one until they're completely full. Make sure you don't have any gaps of air in there. Wrap with a slice of bacon. Don't use the thick cut. We want this to cook in a timely manner. I put these on the Grill a Pellet Grill at 325 for an hour. After an hour, we're going to hit them with some peach habanero barbecue sauce. Let that caramelize for about 10 more minutes, and then you're ready to enjoy after they cool down. These are delicious. I had to try these Dan-O's Parmesan crusted potatoes, and they're so good. I've literally made them 2 days in a row. Half a stick of butter melted. I add about a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. I went with the Chipotle seasoning. It is going to give them a little bit darker crust. A few pops of that, then add more Parmesan cheese so you get a paste-like consistency. Spread it out. Score your red potatoes after you cut them in half. 425 for about 35 minutes. I put them on the silverback, give them a little smoke. Did not disappoint. I love them. Who is a fan of tri-tip? We cooked a medium rare tri-tip with a little chimichurri sauce this afternoon. My tri-tip came from Certified Piedmontese. Look at that marbling, no silver skin, no fat to cut off. That is how I like it. Hitting it with a little W Sauce Fireshire as a binder, and then I'm going to add some Cosmos Q hot cow cover. Be generous with your seasoning. We're going to use the Meat Stick Mini to monitor our temps. I'm going to use this on the Grill-A-Grill Chimp. Now for our chimichurri, you can make it fresh, or you can be like me and go to Al Frugoni's page and get some of his because it is fantastic. Just mix it according to the directions. Basically 1 part chimichurri seasoning, 1 part vinegar. We're going to let that sit for a few minutes to soak, and then we're going to add 2 parts oil. Once that tri-tip hit an internal temp of 110, we pulled it. I already had my Grill a Kong heated up for something else, so we gave it a quick sear on each side. Got us a nice crust, let that rest for 10 minutes or so, and we had a perfect medium rare. These loaded biscuit bombs were super easy to make, and you can add a ton of different fillings. Starting out by shredding up some Colby Jack cheese. You can use whatever cheese you want, and you can use pre-shredded, but it won't melt quite as well. Gonna need some Grand's biscuits. I wouldn't use the flaky layers for this. Smash down the biscuit. I used a burger press. You can use a rolling pin. Add a little bit of cheese. I'm using some leftover Boston butt, hitting it with a little bit of barbecue sauce. A little more cheese on the top, and then we're just going to pinch all of that together the best that we can. Spray a muffin tin, and we're going to place those with the seam down. I threw these on my pellet grill at 325 for about 27-28 minutes. Hit them with a little garlic butter on the top. A little bit of the cheese melted out. I need to get those seams a little bit tighter, but let me tell you, these were packed full of flavor, and everyone loved them. The key to making the best cheesy garlic bread is roasting your garlic. Strip all the outside layers off of 2 bulbs of garlic. Then we're going to cut off about 1/4 of an inch from the top. Add some olive oil. Wrap in aluminum foil and bake at 400 for 45 minutes. I got a loaf of French bread. Set it aside. Let our garlic cool down. We're going to add it to a stick of softened butter. Add the following: oregano, basil, red pepper flakes if you like, and some salt and pepper. We're going to slather that on. 400 for 20 minutes. Add some mozzarella cheese under the broiler for 5 minutes, and you have perfection. If you've never had cheesy mashed potato cakes, this video's for you. Feel free to use the Bob Evans pre-made potatoes, but I had some Russ's left over and made my own. Butter, heavy cream, a little SPG. Mash those up. I needed a little bit more cream. It was about 4 good-sized Russ's potatoes that I used, and then I used 6 ounces of this cheddar Gruyere cheese, added some sour cream. Feel free to cook your own bacon, but I use these bacon crumbles from Costco. After all that was mixed together, I put it in the fridge overnight. Using an ice cream scooper, we're going to pat these out into cakes, and then I'm going to bread them lightly with a little bit of pork panko to add some nice flavor. You can definitely cook these on the stovetop, but to get them done quicker, I added some bacon grease to my Grilla Primate. Medium heat until they get a nice crust on each side, just like this. Once you get a nice crust on both sides, it's time to let these cool down. Awesome texture and flavor, cheesy potato goodness. This Mexican street corn dip is stupid easy and absolutely delicious. You're going to need about 4 cans of corn. I used some fresh sweet corn on the cob that I got from my buddy Landon. Took about 8 ears that I boiled for about 7 minutes ahead of time. Brown 1 pound of chorizo, then we're going to put that in a large mixing bowl. Add our corn. Going to want 2 blocks or 16 ounces of softened cream cheese, 16 ounces of queso blanco. I chose Olay because it was on sale this week. Then a tablespoon and a half of this chili lime rub. You could use Tajín. I just had this Weber in the pantry. Place all that into a gourmet casserole dish. I crushed up some Takis for the top, and then I also added some cotija cheese. It will not melt, but it will soften. You can cook this in the oven. I opted to throw it on the pellet grill to add a little bit of smoke. 350 degrees for 45 minutes, and then it's time for everyone to enjoy this corn dip. This is a simple garlic chicken parm slow cooker recipe I've been working on for a while and finally got it to my liking. Let's start by putting about 2.5 pounds of chicken breast in your slow cooker and add 2 cups of whole milk, 1 can cream of chicken, and then we're going to add a block of cream cheese. I'm going to catch some flack for this, but I use some garlic paste. And then what really ties this together, it's so versatile, this wing dust from Cosmo Q, garlic parm, 1/4 of a cup. Cook that on high for about 3.5 hours. Remove those chicken breasts and set them aside. We're going to add an entire 28-ounce box of minute rice. Mix that in and add 3 cups of water. Leave your slow cooker on high heat. Add some parsley flakes, mainly for looks, and then 4 ounces of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I shredded up this chicken the lazy way, reintroduced it to the slow cooker. This got rave reviews from my wife and her coworkers. It was super simple to make. Give it a shot and let me know what you think in the comments. These air fryer Cajun hot honey salmon bites are super simple and absolutely delicious. Start by cutting your salmon into about 1-inch cubes. I covered them with a little Dijon mustard and then use whatever your favorite seasoning is. I'm using some Flavor God Cajun Lovers. A decent coating of that on there. Mix all that up. I put these in the air fryer. I did a little experimenting and I found that 375 for about 12 minutes was the sweet spot. Added a little hot honey to the top and then it was time to enjoy. I honestly don't think there is much better in the world than a good smash burger. Started by chopping up an onion. We're going to do some of them with onions. I usually do not. Using 80/20 ground beef because it was on sale, $2 cheaper a pound, and I'll take it. I like to use at least 15% fat when I'm making smash burgers. So using some beef tallow. People, take the time to toast your buns. It makes all the difference. I got a new stainless steel burger press that I couldn't wait to try, and it worked like a charm. Half with no onions, half with onions. Let them develop that nice crust and then give them a flip. Add some cheese. Time to enjoy. Apple pie quesadillas. This is a recipe that is super simple and everyone is going to absolutely love. I got it from Little Cajun House, who got it from Backyard Griddle Girl. Both of them have great pages. I was going to make it on my griddle, but a storm came through, so I had to settle for the cast iron skillet. Start by melting some butter. Flip your tortilla over. Add some cinnamon toast crunch dust to both sides. Then I'm going to add some apple pie filling. Only thing I did different was added a little caramel sauce. We love apple caramel in this house. Just make sure it gets a little brown on both sides. Serve it with some vanilla ice cream, and bam, everybody's happy. Apple pie quesadillas. This is a recipe that is super simple and everyone is going to absolutely love. I got it from Little Cajun House, who got it from Backyard Griddle Girl. Both of them have great pages. I was going to make it on my griddle, but a storm came through, so I had to settle for the cast iron skillet. Start by melting some butter. Flip your tortilla over. Add some cinnamon toast crunch dust to both sides. Then I'm going to add some apple pie filling. Only thing I did different was added a little caramel sauce. We love apple caramel in this house. Just make sure it gets a little brown on both sides. Serve it with some vanilla ice cream, and bam, everybody's happy. Spicy cheese bombs, the perfect balance between a little heat and some cheesy goodness. Start by grating 8 ounces of mozzarella cheese and 4 ounces of Monterey Jack. You can use the pre-shredded, but it does not melt quite as good. Add 4 ounces of room temp cream cheese, 3 eggs beaten, 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now we're going to add the following seasoning seen on your screen. Lastly, we're going to need a half a jar of these 505 Southwestern flame roasted green chili. Don't settle, there's not a better brand on the market. Mix all of that together and then we're going to put this in the fridge for at least an hour. If you want to save yourself some time the following day, you can do it the night before. Now we're going to form these into balls a little over the size of a golf ball. We have some oil heating at 350 degrees. I'm using vegetable oil. Let these fry for right around 3.5 minutes apiece. We dipped in red enchilada sauce, and that is how you make. Do you ever have those days where you're like, today is the day I get my life together, and then like 5 p.m. rolls around, and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go home and be a fat ass and drink a couple of beers, eat something that might give me a heart attack. I call these kitchen sink quesadillas because that's pretty much what it is. I had some leftover brisket that I smoked this weekend, cooked up some bacon to go along with it. Used my trusty little vegetable cutter to cut up this bacon. I still have not used it to cut up a vegetable. Chihuahua cheese because that is what was in my refrigerator. Add that brisket. I seasoned it with some Cosmo Q hot cow cover. Add our bacon. A little bit of barbecue sauce of your choice. I'm using Grilla Grill's Thick and Bowed. Add some of those fries. They are healthy because they were in the air fryer. Mac and cheese. Some more Chihuahua cheese. Then just let that cheese get good and melty. Healthy they are not, but I'll tell you what. Tomorrow is the day that I get my life together. Okay, so I cooked a brisket yesterday, and I was trying to think of something to make with the leftovers. And if you love beef brisket, this is going to be in your best interest to watch this video. Easy beef brisket Manhattans. Here is the brisket that I cooked yesterday using the Meat Church 200-degree method. Chopped up a good portion of the leftovers and set it aside. We've got some garlic Texas toast. We're just going to cook it to the directions on the box. I have a stick of unsalted butter. Add some flour to create a roux. I'm going to be honest with you, I usually don't measure when I do this stuff. We're not baking a cake, so you don't have to be as specific. I'm using some beef bone broth. You can use some regular beef broth or stock, whatever you got. Slowly add it and just keep on stirring so it doesn't get too thin. Added a couple of teaspoons of black pepper, a couple teaspoons of garlic powder. Don't need salt. There is plenty in the beef broth. Add that beef brisket so it will warm up as the sauce is thickening. I've got this on medium heat, and while it's doing that, we're going to cook up some Bob Evans mashed potatoes. These are just easier, and honestly, they taste really good. Heat them up in the microwave per directions. We're going to load these things, add a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic. Add a little bit of sour cream, and then some cheese. We're using cheddar because that's what I had in the fridge. Cooked up some bacon, and we're using this vegetable cutter to cut it up. I've never actually used it on a vegetable, always bacon. Mix all of that together. Our gravy is thickened. Our beef brisket is heated, and it is time to enjoy this beef brisket Manhattan. So easy, so delicious. Hot honey ham and cheese biscuits. Let's get it. I use some cherrywood smoked ham with this thickness. Use whatever you like. Cut it up into squares so it'll fit in the muffin pan, and with the extras you give to your buddy because he's been a good boy. We're going to be using Swiss cheese. Cut it up in squares as well. Make sure you have the flaky layer Grands biscuits so you can tear them in half. I sprayed my muffin tin so I didn't have to worry about any sticking. First place part of your biscuit, a piece of cheese, the ham, cheese. Then we're going to hit it with some Dijon mustard and a little everything seasoning from Flavor God, but use just salt and pepper if you like. Add the other biscuit to the top. You can cook these in the oven at 350, but I threw them on the pellet smoker. After 15 minutes they look like this, so I left them in for about another 5. Leave them however long it takes for them to be golden brown on top and not doughy on the bottom. Add hot honey and devour. This creamy Tuscan chicken pasta might become a staple in your dinner rotation. We're going to start with 2 pounds of chicken thighs that we trimmed up, boneless and skinless. Hit them with a little avocado oil and then add the following seasonings. Get those good and coated and then just let them sit aside. You can cook these any way you want. They'd be great in an air fryer. I like to add a little bit of smoke, so I'm going to throw them on the Grilla Chimp. I'm going to need 6 ounces of grated Parmesan. You can use the pre-shredded stuff. This just melts way better. 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and then garlic. Measure with your heart. There are 2 things in this world that you measure with your heart: garlic and chocolate chips. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Add 2 cups of spinach. When it begins to wilt, we're going to add 1.5 cups of heavy cream, and then 1 cup of whole milk. Now we are going to add the following seasonings on your screen. 6 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes. You can use the ones that are in olive oil if you prefer. I like these. It keeps it a little bit less greasy. Approximately 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and then we're going to add that Parmesan and mix everything together real well. By this time, my chicken thighs have hit 165 internal and look good and juicy. 12 ounces of Italian rigatoni, or whatever pasta you prefer. I like the Private Selection brand. I use it a lot. Yo Kroger, hit me up. Mix all of that together. Cut up your chicken thighs and add those into the mix. Once all that is well incorporated, you can add a little more parm to the top, and then it's time to enjoy this delicious meal.
Full credit to Cooker of Deliciousness for these videos.